So the Ogee shape is based on a circle. If I take this circle and I trace it here, let's say, the way to make an S curve is to draw a line straight down through the middle of it. It's 3 1/4, so I'm going to go 1 1/2 plus 1/8. I'm going to draw that line one more time. You also can use your T-square for this, or your L-square, to make sure that you're drawing your line straight up and down from top to bottom. Now if I take my glass and I put it halfway here, it's going to make that same shape that we just had, which is going to go like this. What I want to do is I want to make it go the opposite direction. So if I have circles like this, let's say, the way to make an S curve is to think about taking this side of this circle and this side of that circle, this side of this circle and that side of that circle, right? But the Ogee actually comes from like a Moroccan influence or a Middle Eastern influence. And if you come up a little bit on the top, let's say I'm going to come up an inch, and I'm going to come down an inch from the bottom of my circle. And then I'm going to make an opposite curve. So instead of this coming this way, I'm going to curve back into this somehow and come tangent to this. I'm going to take another cup. I'm going to put it in here just to look at what kind of curve I want to have come in there. So this curve comes tangent here in the middle and here at the side. So an Ogee basically looks like a Christmas ornament. And if we do some research on Ogees, we see these kind of things happening, right? So this kind of repeated motif it happens. That's an Ogee. This is an Ogee. These are all Ogees. Okay, so we've taken this. See how this one's wider than the one I drew? That's why your width may be 4, 5, or 6. It depends on how wide you want to go, right? In your repeat. So sometimes Ogees are narrow at the top and sometimes they're really wide at the top. These Ogees here have got a line element into them, right? So that they kind of work like a Moroccan tile. These have some space in between them. These Ogees have gone one step farther. Dang it, what happened to them? These have gone one step farther and created a floral kind of pattern that's happening in there. Look how nice that is. Gorgeous. These Ogees have a floral paste placed in the center of each one. Is that really an Ogee? I don't know. Kind of. These have a flower placed in the middle of each Ogee. Right? These Ogees have an embellishment that comes here and here. So the repeat of that is flipped up and down, back and forth, right? Here's an Ogee. Notice how these relate to each other. This is what we're doing next week. This is a half drop. For this week, I want you to do a 4-side repeat Ogee, all right? So notice that this green one up here is on a half drop and the red one below it is repeated side by side, okay? This is a half drop. This one is side by side. So first I drew my basic Ogee here. To repeat it, I'm going to place my glass, if I have the glass here, I'm going to place the glass next to it so it touches at the side here and here. Right? So I'm probably going to want to measure this all the way across. I'm going to measure where the top of that is and the bottom of that is. I'm going to make sure that my L square is lining these all up along my paper. And I'm getting these all sitting next to each other and the same top and bottom so that my repeat is going to be exactly right. Then, since this one I measured 1 inch up and 1 inch down, I probably want to draw that grid all the way across, back and forth, so that I know where this then is going to attach up to here and down to there. And this one's going to attach up to here and down to there, right? So that I get all this really accurate. Now I'm going to want to go another inch up here so that this will repeat that direction. And then I'm going to draw my cup. So I'm going to get another grid going on there where this cup's going to sit in here. And then this next cup's going to sit here. And this next cup's going to sit here. So I'm going to have to map out onto here all of this grid work to make sure that my repeat is happening consistently. And then my Ogees are drawn consistently. You're going to have a negative space thing happen, right? So if I draw these Ogees here, let me just show you which ones I mean. This one was drawn with my glass, right? So let's say in this one, I'm going to put a flower. In here, maybe I want to put a butterfly. So that I have a sense of positive and negative shape. And I probably want to use different colors in the flower shape than I do in my butterfly. You can play, all right? You can come into here and you can take these Ogees and you can make maybe a leaf shape in here, let's say. Right? Then that's going to repeat this way. And it's going to change the shape of what happens here to possibly a more interesting arrangement. These are some Ogees that were done by William Morris. Notice how ornate and complex this Ogee gets over here. Right? This one is more simple. Here's the same Ogee in a different colorway. That's a half drop Ogee. When you see this S shape, this river going down in between, this is down on a half drop. So this week, make sure that your Ogees line up next to each other on the grid. But you might imagine a circle or an oval. It says cut it into half, duplicate a line straight down, and then pull the line over so that you're getting this kind of an S curve that goes back and forth this way, right? That S curve then meets up with another S curve to make this kind of a shape in the middle of it. And it makes this positive, negative kind of shape thing going on like that. All right, so let's say I take this, I'm going to sit next to that. And that would make kind of an interesting. Notice how one is sitting up this way and then one is upside down, turn the opposite direction. Yeah. Notice how what happens when I have this sort of leaf design that comes. It comes here, right? And what that does in between the two of them, so that this design, if it were flipped back and forth, or if it were flipped back and forth this way, what happens with those leaf designs? Okay. The drawings that you did last week, where you did in your sketchbook some drawings of references from plants, you can use those if you want this week to go into drawing abstracting those plants and flowers and leaves into your work.